Sean, the Premier League is back, and some things change, and some things they stay the same.
You just got to admire that Tottenham moxie, huh?
Yeah, just going down two and finding a way to claw back to a draw. Let's get into it. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from a collection of friends who support different teams. My name is James. I support Arsenal. That's Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. This is the North London edition of Red Card Radio. As always, we are normally joined by Brad. He is, the man's working him.
It's it's a time of celebration. There's family. There's got work. Got holidays. It is what it is. Yeah. It's that time of year.
So, feel bad that you are stuck at work, Brad, but the podcast does not stop. We continue on, just like this segue by our sponsor. I don't have anything. So
sponsored by Segway.
Oh, there we go. Segways. Yeah, there we go. We should do that. We should get on that. So what are we doing tonight? All right, we have got to review the Premier League from Boxing Day.
Full slate.
Full 10 games, 10 matches. We're going to get into the nitty gritty on all of it. Take a look at the league table, all that stuff. But before we get too deep, as always, if you could hit that like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, ring the sub notification bell, 5-star review. If you're on one of those sites that allows you to do that, hit us up in the comments, join our Discord, all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. We would really appreciate if you did it for us.
I do, before we really dive in.
Okay.
Oh, no, not before. I just want to allude to.
Yes.
I want to give a little teaser. Yeah. I am going to have an apology for some folks tonight.
Okay.
I'm going to have a big time apology for some folks tonight.
Sean's apology tour.
Yeah, I'm going to have one big apology tonight.
You've been going in your meetings and they say you need to make sure you apologize to people, and so you got to check that box.
Anger management. Yeah.
Yeah. But Perfect. All right, let's take a look at the table because I like the way the table looks right now. Don't you, Sean?
No.
All right, let's get into it. Okay, so in first position we've got Arsenal. They are on 40 points, 5 points clear of second place Manchester City, who are on 35 points. Up to third.
They were third before.
Well, they were fourth before any games were played this weekend. Weren't they?
They were in third.
Oh,
they were in third. They were in third on the break.
Second. They went to second. That's what I'm thinking.
So our draw must have put us back into third.
Okay. No. So, loyal Red Card Radio listeners, I apologize. Yes, Newcastle have been in third. They went to second overnight before City played. And I thought that's
what it was.
I'm confusing myself. Okay. So Newcastle still in third. Tottenham still in fourth. United still in fifth. Liverpool are in sixth. Brighton and Hove are in seventh. Chelsea in eighth. Fulham 9. Brentford 10th. Literally nothing has changed, essentially. Crystal Palace 11th. Villa 12th. Leicester, Bournemouth, Leeds, West Ham, Everton.
Oh, same.
Round out. Wolves are up to 18th because they did get a victory away at Everton. So that's really, really, really big for Wolves. Nottingham Forest, they are into 19th. That's on goal difference technically with Wolves. Nottingham has a negative 22 goal difference, which is hilarious. And then Southampton are still in last place in 20th. So yeah, not a lot of movement on the table. There has been some congestion that has started to form in certain parts of the table. In and around
that 14 to 20.
Yeah. 14 to 20. And also, if you look in 6th to 4th, there's a lot of closeness there. So with games in hand and things like that. So, heck, even down to 8th, Chelsea in 8th are only 6 points off Tottenham in 4th, though they have a game in hand. So, it's getting pretty tight. That top 4 race is going to be competitive.
As my grandfather would say, it's getting tighter than a camel's ass in a snowstorm.
Exactly.
Sandstorm.
Snowstorm too, probably. And
probably. Also would be puckered up.
I didn't get any snow in Roanoke where I am, but
you got ice.
We got a little bit. We sure did. It's been real cold though. So I would imagine
that pea coat Santa brought me was coming in clutch, buddy.
I bet. So if we get back into specific results, who played whom, and results and things like that, taking a look at the results. Match week 17 kicked off. The Premier League kicked off. Return at the Brentford Stadium. It was Brentford Spurs. We alluded to this earlier. Brentford got off to a 2-0 lead, and Spurs claw their way back to a 2-2 draw. We got some thoughts about that. We had Palace Fulham. Fulham win that game 3-0. Palace had 2 players sent off, so they finished the game with 9, which is kind of madness. Wolves get that ever important win away at Everton. I think that's Wolves' first away win of the season or something like that. It was real big for them. Leicester and Newcastle. Newcastle just slapped the stuffing out of Leicester 3-0. Southampton gets slapped by Brighton 3-1. Liverpool Villa. Liverpool win that game 3-1. Arsenal West Ham. Arsenal win the game 3-1. Chelsea Bournemouth. Chelsea win 2-0. United Forest. United win 3-0. And then Leeds City, which was played today as we're recording this. City win the game 3-1. So some high level stuff that we should just get out of the way here first. Sean, you erroneously claimed that the Arsenal West Ham game would end 3-2 for Arsenal last week.
Wasn't far off.
You weren't that far off. It was close.
I knew, because every time you guys win, I think they can't keep getting away with this. And you did exactly what I thought you were going to do. Exactly what I thought you were going to do.
We'll tackle Arsenal here in a little bit. I probably should just go chronologically. Start with that Brentford Spurs match. I don't think this is a terrible result for Spurs. I think if I put it into context around what all of the other teams around them did in the league, everyone 1-9 won except for Spurs. Spurs were the only team,
and then 10 were Brentford.
Yeah, exactly. So in the top 10, the only 2 teams that didn't win were the 2 that drew with each other. Now that doesn't sound terrible if you think about it like that, depending on who the other teams were playing. But I think if you look at it in the context of the title race and the top 4 race for Spurs specifically, that's where this result is oh damn, that's not a good result. I think drawing away at Brentford is not a terrible result. United lost there this year. They've played really well against both Chelsea and Liverpool, I think.
And Tony's not suspended yet, so it's not like they're done.
His link-up play is insane.
But here's where I would like to insert my apology.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay.
I would like to apologize to every one of you EPL fans, your fans, friends, family, everyone, in a time of celebration that you're probably with your family on the day after Christmas. I apologize to everyone who woke up at 7:30 on Monday and watched this game. I just want to give my heartfelt apology.
I don't know. I mean, it might have been worse for Spurs fans, but I didn't dislike it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was a pretty good game.
Oh, come on. That's awful. That's awful from us. But we're back in mid-season form. Go down 2 goals and rescue some points out of it.
That was my initial thought. My initial thought when the result ends, you guys were down 2-0, I think, at halftime, and they had 2 second half goals. Yeah. Now, I will say that the Højbjerg goal was not beautiful. It was a well-taken goal, but it was kind of fortuitous the way it came to him. There was a cross from the end line that kind of got deflected back to him, and he just collects it and scores. It was a great goal from Højbjerg's point of view, but it was a little fortuitous to land to him in that situation. But I mean, you need things like that to happen in football matches.
We've talked to that point. This took me off on a tangent. I was going to say something else, but to that point, how many times does that fortuitous bounce come to players on our own teams and then they don't score?
Yeah.
So for you to say that that's fortuitous, for it to bounce to them that way, well, that's slightly disingenuous because that bounce probably comes 3 or 4 times a game And it's a matter of if the player scores the goal.
So Højbjerg
then it makes it fortuitous.
Yeah, certainly the result impacts the way I perceive it.
Yeah, of course.
I have no qualms about that. But Højbjerg took it really well. Okay, so something similar happened in the Arsenal game where Martin Odegaard like lines up a shot. He tries to shoot and he just scuffs the ball, and it turns into a perfect pass to Saka, and Saka scores a goal. And so it's like okay, yeah, that's.
But I would have said, watching that game, I would have said, oh, that's a fortuitous bounce that goes to Odegaard. I think that's my point.
Yeah,
certainly. There's so many times where that ball bounces out of a scrum, and goes straight to a player who has a chance, and
skies it or something.
Eight times out of 10, Eric Dyer, 8 times out of 10 puts it 33 rows up into the stands.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Yeah.
But what I was originally going to was Højbjerg. Højbjerg has been incredible this year with those kind of situations. Like the one goal, I forget who we were playing, but the one goal where he had the patience to let it settle with the defender bearing down on him. And that was like, you don't expect that out of your CDM.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't expect that out of Partey to like have the patience to wait on it.
I would expect the most patient person on the pitch to be your central defensive midfielder. I will say.
You would, and then here's where's Brad Kovacic. Oh. He will throw his leg at anything that is moving and seems round.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
It could be a head. It could be the ball. Kovacic doesn't care.
Yeah.
If it's round and coming towards him, he's throwing his foot towards it.
Yo, we should just slander Chelsea all
we should really slander. That wasn't meant to be a slander Chelsea, but out of Partey, Højbjerg, and Kovacic is the most eager to just kick the crap out of a ball.
He, in Brad's defense, he would say, "Well, that's because Conte's injured."
That's true. That's true.
Brad always finds.
But Højbjerg has 4 goals this year.
Yeah, Højbjerg's
4 goals,
playing very well for you guys.
Well, I feel like that's what the goal is when everything collapses in on the back line. Those two center defensive men need to be right there on the outside of the box. 1 to stop counters, but 2 to bang home goals like that. And he's been doing it.
Yeah, it's a little bit dangerous if they're able to spring like over the top of them,
top or out to the wings,
and then you've got like a center forward bearing down on Eric Dyer, and then you're just sitting there like, oh,
it's scary,
baby, what's going to happen?
By the way, speaking of Eric Dyer, I'm glad you brought him up. Did you see the kick? Did you see the kick? I don't even need to describe it.
So at first I didn't. I didn't see it. I probably was playing it
directly led to a Brentford goal because he's an idiot.
Yes. So context for our loyal listeners.
It was Eric Dyer.exe. confused.
So Eric Dyer goes to clear a ball, and he's like 35 yards away from his goal, and he scuffs the ever-living crap out of this ball, and he just scuffs it out for a corner.
It could have landed in the second deck. Who knows?
He could have controlled the ball. He had a lot of time. Anyway.
A lot of time. There was no reason for him to one-foot it left-footed.
So
clearly not his dominant foot.
So he scuffs it out for a corner, and then Brentford score literally on the ensuing corner. It was terrible defense on the corner. So we could.
Not all blame is on Dyer, but
yes.
Like a professional I'm sorry. A professional football player. That's all I'm going to say.
The fact that Eric Dyer is still so you remember at the beginning of I think it was last season when Norwich came up, and you're like, man, Tim Krul's still rocking in the Premier League. I have a feeling like in 5 or 6 years we're going to be looking at somebody be like, damn, Eric Dyer is still rocking in the Premier League. And I hope for your sake it's not Tottenham, but part of me thinks it will be Tottenham.
It's just like, how do you watch all the game film from this year? And I know Southgate's not going to have retrospective film to look at that kick. But how do you look at that kick and decide that's better than Tomori?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I just like I'm a Tottenham fan. Where's the camera? I am a Tottenham fan. When England announced their squad and I saw Eric fucking Dyer on the squad, I was confused. I
Yeah,
thought maybe that was a typo. That
yeah.
maybe that was a reprint from the last friendly. It should have been Tamori. I don't know. I was confused. And then all of a sudden he's in an England jersey. I
Did
was
he
just as
play?
confused. No,
Yeah,
he
I don't think
didn't
so.
play because he stinks
Yeah.
for club and country.
So we had an interesting comment from Zach on YouTube before the match was played, and
Okay.
he's talking. So the story swirling around Brentford, of course, is the Ivan Toney situation with the gambling charges. He's been charged over 260 times or something like that with gambling offenses. And so Zach hits us up on YouTube. He says, I'd start responsibly wagering some serious cash on Brentford to get relegated before the league gets started on Monday. They have Tottenham, West Ham, Liverpool out of the gate. And if this investigation into Ivan Toney is in a bit of a flux, who knows how available he will be going forward. Kieran Trippier got like 10-week ban for de facto inside trading. He didn't even place a wager. Everyone from ninth, and this when he's talking about teams now, all the teams from ninth back can reasonably brought back into the scrap for the bottom three with poor restart to the Premier League. And then he points out that Brentford has some juicy 20-1 odds that they're going to get relegated. So, you know,
I do find it heavily ironic that he's talking about taking a bet on that Brentford will get relegated on the fact that their best player was betting on football.
yeah. You know, I'm not sure that Brentford's game falls apart without Ivan Toney. I'm not sure that
I
they
don't
fall
think
apart.
I don't think so
Yeah,
either.
but at the same time, and that's not necessarily a bad
20
bet.
to 1. You bet a hundy and get 2,000. I'll take that,
I mean,
right?
they've got 20 points. Relegation is only 7 points back. You know, so they seem safe.
Yeah.
I will say this: Arsenal got to 40 points, the first team to get to 40 points this year. So Arsenal are reasonably safe. Arsenal probably not getting relegated this year. So, you know,
You texted the group chat. You said we are safe from relegation.
the streak continues. The longest serving top flight team. You know, hey, so big up.
There's been no team at 40 points that have been relegated.
I,
Normally, your goal is 30, right?
I think so. I
Like
think
30 points doesn't get relegated
yeah,
normally, right?
normally yeah. So, but thanks for that comment, Zach.
Yep.
Keep hitting us up with the betting odds for Brentford going down, and maybe we'll keep a track on this.
Still kind of BS that I still need to know what he bet on.
Yeah,
That's what I want to know.
same.
That's what needs to come out. Because if they ban him for like 3 years, I need to know that he was betting against Brentford.
Yeah,
Because he doesn't look like it this year.
yeah. So
He's
right.
like fourth. He's like fourth in goals scored.
Well, unfortunately, no one's catching Haaland on that list.
Sir,
Harry
Hurricane.
Kane's 5 goals back. Okay,
That's 2 games against Arsenal.
too bad you've already played one.
That's true.
All right, let's move on. All right, so big results this weekend. Wolves they get 3 points away at Goodison Park. That was a Sean relegation 6-pointer. Sean TM relegation 6-pointer, or however we want to trademark that. Sean's big into the relegation 6-pointer, so like that was a huge result for Wolves.
Absolutely not. I don't want anybody to bring any relegation 6-pointer to me ever. 6-pointer is the stupidest. Unless you are bringing to me a white-tailed deer, I don't want to hear about a 6-pointer.
Newcastle beat the stuffing out of Leicester. So let me ask you this question, Sean.
Am I scared?
Are Newcastle in the title race?
No.
Oh no, just no.
No,
Okay.
they are not.
Well, here's another question: are Arsenal in the title race?
No.
Okay, so it's just City.
Yes. You guys are all kidding yourselves. You guys are all kidding yourselves.
This is what I will say about the title race.
You're getting your hopes up for nothing. Come down to earth, James.
I think we have to, and this is the reason why I think we have to get our hopes up, because this City team, like they're a juggernaut. They never Like they just retool, spend 100 million, retool. They wasted 100 million on Jack Grealish. It doesn't matter. They wasted whatever they've wasted on Calvin Phillips. It doesn't matter. They just retool and keep going.
50 million. Yeah.
Whatever it was they spent on these players, it doesn't matter to them because they're a machine. If Arsenal somehow can win a title this year, it would be huge. Because I don't know if there's another opportunity that Arsenal will have to be as well positioned to do it. So it kind of feels like you have to capitalize. In the same sense with Newcastle, who knows the next time Newcastle, I mean, granted, Newcastle has the infinite money situation, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, like there's still rumblings about new financial fair play rules and regulations that everyone's going to have to adhere to. So like it might still also be difficult for Newcastle. So like if you have a chance, you have to try. And so that's my only thought on it.
It's actually ironic that I read this today and I resonated so much with it. And I don't have it pulled up in front of me, so I'll paraphrase, but it was the forward or the pre whatever of a book about by a writer I highly acclaim, Jeff Pearlman. He's a sports writer. He used to work for Sports Illustrated. He's written a lot of books about Brett Favre, about the USFL, but his most recent book was about Bo Jackson and the myth that is Bo Jackson and how much he is just like an anomaly of a person.
Yeah.
And in the pre, he says sports are about the myth. They are about what could be.
Yeah.
And he says, did Babe Ruth actually point out to the outfield stands and call out his home run before he hit it? Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's about the story. Yeah. Did some basketball player that's in legend put a quarter on the top of the backboard before he slam dunked the ball? Does that matter? That if it actually happened? No. It's about the story. It's about the myth.
Yeah.
And so that made me think when you said no, it's important to dream. It's important because that's what sports is about. Yeah. So I agree with you. I agree with you in a roundabout way.
I mean, in the same way that no one thought Leicester could do it when they won it. I mean, Arsenal, Arsenal and Newcastle, I think, have to
dream.
They have to dream and they have to try.
And it's not even so much a dream for either one. They're right there. Both of you.
If you think about
Tottenham are right there. Like, why shouldn't we dream too?
I mean,
we're not playing well.
Before the season started, almost all the pundits had Tottenham finishing above Arsenal. So, and it was comfortably finishing. And I'm not talking about the idiot YouTubers who had Arsenal finishing 8th. I'm talking about soccer, football people, like Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, the people who've played. The majority of the English broadcasting community picked Spurs to be in the title race with City. They expected it to be a 2-horse race between Spurs and City and maybe Chelsea if we think about preseason stuff. Now, clearly, things happen, but so
and we're 10 points off the lead, but with the whole half of the year to play, that's not that unsurmountable.
Certainly.
So we're relatively in the race. I think you're right. Everyone should dream. This machine, we've got to get rid of this machine.
Yeah, City have slipped up this year.
They have a bunch.
You have to be able to capitalize when City slip up. So I don't want to spend too much time on that.
I agree.
Just a thought that
I agree.
Liverpool Villa. Unfortunately for Aston Villa, Emi Martinez did not make it back in time to play in this match. He's probably still in Buenos Aires. I have no idea. But Liverpool in this game. The reason why I bring this up is really solely so I can talk about Cody Gakpo. Liverpool have signed Cody Gakpo from PSV Eindhoven for 37 million pounds or euros. I'm not sure which it is, but that to me is a steal, an absolute steal.
He looked like, and granted, it's hard to translate international success to club success when you're doing it every day. It's hard to translate that. But Gakpo was a unguardable monster. Even against United States, he just decided, I'm not going to score. I'm going to play link up, and it ruined us.
The couple thoughts I've had about Gakpo is that I think it's hilarious that United fans have been like, oh, we're going to sign Cody Gakpo. And then like over the course of an hour, it was like rumored, like apparently Liverpool might be in the lead to sign Cody Gakpo. And then an hour later, it was like, oh, nope, it's deal. Yeah, they signed the deal. And everyone's like, excuse me, what? Liverpool moved this quickly to sign someone. So that was hilarious as an outsider looking in. And then about 5 minutes later, I was like, oh, that's not funny anymore. Because Cody Gakpo going to Liverpool with Jurgen Klopp, I was like, that's not going to be fun. He is he's a made replacement for Salah. Like he just.
I was going to say he is the 10. He is the 10ish, the 10-8, the 10 whatever. He's that little. He's the Firmino replacement. He's the whatever because Firmino just kind of moves everywhere and he can do all of it.
Yeah, like traditionally, I think Gakpo plays on the left, but yeah, he could play literally anywhere across the front three.
So Salah plays on the right.
Yeah. Right. And this is my point: is that like, and I think it's the same point you're making, is that like he is effective in any position in the front three. In my opinion.
He can play a 10.
Yeah,
he could clearly play a 10. He did it. He basically did it against the United States.
Yeah. The other crazy
and just set up all the goals.
The other crazy rumor. Apparently Liverpool are really close to signing Enzo Fernandez. Apparently as well, the Argentinian guy.
They've needed. Tamseed is probably having a party right now, and it's not even 1999 or New Year's Day.
Yeah, like Tamseed and Jimmy are just out here just popping bottles, just going wild.
Well, Tamseed has been lobbying for midfielders for 3 seasons, and they haven't done anything, and now they signed 1.5.
Yeah.
Well, almost. So if Enzo signs, then they've signed 1.5 because Gakpo can do it.
If somehow by the end of August of this year, or 2023 August, so August of next year, at the end of the transfer window, we're looking at through January and the summer, we're looking at Liverpool having signed Cody Gakpo, Enzo Fernandez, and Jude Bellingham. Like, come on, like that would be insanity.
Well, what I was thinking was if they get Enzo Fernandez for, let's say, less than 40, just like they did Gakpo.
Let's say less than 40. I think it's going to be much more expensive than that. Apparently, his release clause is like $105 million. Apparently, but
okay. Well, let's just say they get him for less than 40.
Okay.
They have made the greatest January additions of all time.
Oh,
between Diaz, Gakpo, and Fernandez.
I mean, Van Dijk was January as well, wasn't he?
Was he really?
Pretty sure.
Well, they signed him. Well, that was like $70 million. I mean, it's worth it, but it was expensive. But Diaz was like in the 30s. They get Gakpo in the 30s. If they get Enzo in the 30s,
yeah, well,
that is like some January masterpiece shit, and we just need to start learning from John Henry.
Yeah, maybe they're just like kings of January. Who knows?
Well, that crown is still bestowed upon Kulusevski and Bentancur in the same.
So I guess
recruitment class.
I guess Gakpo's first chance to play for Liverpool, assuming that he can be registered in time, will be Monday against Brentford. We'll get into that. We'll get into that in the preview episode that's coming out tomorrow. So definitely check back tomorrow. We'll talk about that. Cody Gakpo maybe in a red shirt by Monday. Elsewhere across the league, I want to talk about Arsenal because I love Arsenal, and we played exceptionally well against West Ham throughout the entire match. I don't want to say we were unlucky in the penalty situation against Saliba, because it was obviously a foul. Brad was texting about this, and he was like, I'm not even sure he touched him, or like it was a soft penalty. And I'm like, bro, like Saliba dives in, gets no ball, clips the player's feet, and he eventually falls over. Like, that's a textbook penalty. If something like that happened against Arsenal and I didn't get a penalty, I would be apoplectic. It's a stone cold penalty. And so I'm glad it was called. I'm glad that VAR didn't even try to overrule it. And it was the right call. Now, I was still very confident that Arsenal would ultimately win the match because we were we were playing exceptionally well. And then, once we get that fortuitous Saka goal, Martinelli's goal was really nice. And it was funny. I was talking with my brother in the moment, and he was like, "Man, that Martinelli cat, he hasn't quite lived up to the potential that I thought he would have 3 years ago." And then Martinelli scored that goal.
He was like 17
Yeah.
at the time he said that 3 years ago.
Yeah. I think it was more like, I don't know. I think it was. I don't think it was like. I don't think he wasn't. He was certainly wasn't trying to say that Martinelli's bad, but he was like, I just feel like he should be further along in his development. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not.
I think that's a product. I think that's a product of he came into the squad too early, so you think he's older than he is.
Maybe.
Because he's only 20, right?
I think he's 21 now.
Okay. Yeah. So like this should be like the beginning of his arc.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like now that he's a full-grown adult, and now he can actually work on his craft without actually physically growing.
Yeah,
because he's done growing.
It was just a funny anecdote about like that situation. Like, and then Martinelli scores the goal, and I just looked at him. I was like, "That's
huh?
Yeah."
Did you have the Martinelli jersey on?
I don't have a Martinelli jersey yet. Maybe next year. But yeah, it was a good game. Arsene Wenger, first time back at the Emirates since he left in 2018. He was in the stands. So that was kind of emotional and exciting for Arsenal supporters.
Good for you guys.
He went to go meet all the players, and Arteta brought him down to the dressing room. It was really good, apparently.
I did see that. I did see a picture of him hugging Saka,
which is funny because during the World Cup, Saka was like, "I've never met Arsene Wenger." Like Saka was at the club when Wenger was at the club. He was in the academy.
He was a youth.
Yeah,
in the academy.
In the academy. But he's like, yeah, I've never met Arsene Wenger, and he's like, my dad's a huge Arsenal fan, so like it'd be really cool if we got to meet him. And then they didn't meet at Qatar in the World Cup because Wenger was at the World Cup, and everyone's like, well, maybe they'll get together at the World Cup, but they never crossed paths, I guess. And then he comes to the first game back, and so like, yeah, it was just really wholesome. I'm very big smile.
Yeah, that's probably pretty cool because if his dad's a huge fan too, like they probably went to games and stuff, and
yeah,
it's probably just one of those things.
So big.
That's cool.
Big happiness there. Other things happened. Chelsea beat Bournemouth. Unexciting, because Chelsea's unexciting. Though Reece James is injured again. Apparently, it's a short four-week setback. But I mean, I don't like.
He's Luke Shaw of right backs.
He needs to get a good run of form for like a year without getting injured. Like I feel bad for the guy. I'm genuinely starting to feel bad for the guy because he does have that potential to be the best right back in the league, but you can't be the best right back in the league if you're never playing. So I hope he gets healthy and I hope he stays healthy. United beat Forest, and then Leeds, of course, just they fell over to City. So that's it. We do have one off-topic comment from Jimmy that I wanted to get to because of the context of this podcast specifically just being me and you, and we're a bit more baseball people. We made this comment last week about Pete Rose. We think that Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, and Jimmy is like, Pete Rose should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. And then
about your next statement.
Oh, okay. And then his next statement was, I do not think Bonds, Clemens, Palmeiro, Maguire, etc. should be in the Hall of Fame. Okay, so this is an interesting point because I disagree with you. I agree with Jimmy. So you think the steroid guys should be in the Hall of Fame?
If you take away every one of Bonds' 700 home runs, he still has over 3,000 hits. If you take away his 7 MVP years, he still has 2,900 hits and 440 stolen bases. Bonds deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
So you just specifically disagree with Bonds?
Clemens too.
Oh.
Clemens was striking out 26 in the 80s. I'm not defending Palmeiro or Maguire. I'm defending those two. If you take away steroids, they still deserve to be in.
Yes, but in my estimation, in my reading of this, the way I look at this is that, sure, I agree with you in those statistics. Like obviously, those are those are facts about Bonds and Clemens and things like that. And I think everyone recognizes that that Bonds and Clemens both were
naturally talented before steroids.
Super good. So then why did they take steroids?
The extra edge to be better than everyone else.
They already were better than everyone else.
They already were. That's the intriguing part, is why did you do it? You already were better than everybody else. I don't know. I can't answer for them. But what I will tell you is that it is absolutely ridiculous that you have two of the best players to come up in our time, and you're going to exclude them because they maybe dabbled in a little arm shooty.
I think it's a butt shooty. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure you take that in the butt. But there need to be consequences for choices that you make in life, and I think if you choose to cheat, you should probably be disqualified from Hall of Fames. That's just my opinion.
I will present to the audience and the jury. Bonds has never been caught cheating.
That's true. That's a fair point.
So you can say that he's cheating. I think that he's cheating, but he's never been caught. He has never been actually caught cheating. So you can speculate all you want, but to hold him out over speculation, Clemens has been caught.
Yeah.
Bonds has not. So to hold him out over speculation is ridiculous.
That's
a fair
point.
Palmeiro, Maguire, they have also not been caught, but speculation plus mediocre career holds them out. But Bonds, come on now. He's one of the best hitters we've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have it's not a hill I'm going to die on. Like, I'm not going to be like, baseball will not be ruined for me if Bonds eventually makes it into the Hall or Clemens eventually makes it into the Hall. But at the same time, like, I think that it's okay to say that there are consequences for the actions that you take. And I think it's also fair for you to point out that these are the speculation and allegations that have never been proven. I think that's also fair to point out. But yeah, I don't know. We wanted to touch on that just quickly because, both of us are big baseball
love
people.
Jimmy.
Jimmy, we know Jimmy's also a big baseball guy. So, like, Brad.
He's got poor choice in whiskey, that guy Jimmy. But other than that, he's all right guy.
Okay, apparently I can already tell you what our comments are going to be for next week, and our off-topic comments for next week are 100% going to be about whiskey. As Sean drinks his natural light. All right, we need to leave. Thanks for listening. If you're still listening, we really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell, all those normal things. We would really appreciate it if you haven't already done that. Share this podcast with a friend or a sister or a brother or your mother. All those things. Would really appreciate it. Hit us up on Twitter. That's at Whiteheart_Sean. I'm at James Tiffany. Brad, who is not here, is at KSBradG. So you can send him some slander or some memes. He really appreciates that. Collectively, we're at redcard_radio. All those things. And check back tomorrow because we have a preview of the weekend matches and the midweek matches coming up over the next couple days. So you won't want to miss that. And until that time, goodbye.